welcome everybody to the Survivor Now podcast. My name's Josh, and I'm one of your hosts today. And with me is Tori. How are you doing, Tori?
I'm good. I'm, on summer break right now, so I'm excited to be doing this. It gave me, something to put on my calendar for today. So
yes, this is so fun. Anytime we get to talk about like off-season Survivor stuff, I know a lot of people think that off-season is like a boring time, but I feel like this off-season is a time for us to get to do fun projects like this. So what we'll be doing today is we are revisiting older seasons. We'll be doing this a little bit throughout the summer, maybe like twice a month or so. We'll be having podcasts that are, like roughly an hour or so that we will be just walking through like a single old season of Survivor. And I love this because I got into the show, when I was really young, and seasons like this, like All Stars, which we'll be talking about today, has been something that I've watched since I was, I don't know, like 13, 14 years old. And so I have a lot more to say about this than maybe like, episode 7 of season 48, where that just aired. I think this scratches a different itch than talking about the newest season does. So I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's interesting because I watched season 1 of Survivor with my family, and we watched the first few seasons together, but then there's a big gap in my Survivor watch history, and I kind of came back to it later on. And so I saw this season when I was, I guess I could call it like a young adult. But I was saying to Josh off air that it's kind of fun to rewatch seasons even that you saw as an adult or ones that you saw as a kid, just because like your opinions of people kind of change. Like the person that I was rooting for then, it wasn't necessarily the person that I was rooting for now. Now, obviously, like I knew the outcome, but
right.
You're still kind of rooting for people.
Yes, I definitely, when I was, 13 or whatever, I was definitely big on the Rupert train when I first watched this. And yeah, not as much these days. But yeah, like Tori said, I mean, our opinions change, and we get to like visit, certain people as we rewatch old seasons and pay extra attention to them. And part of why we chose the seasons that we chose this summer is featuring people who are on season 50, starting back a lot. Chronologically, like towards the beginning of the show. We want to highlight people, again, not every season and not every person who was on the show, but several of them. And so we wanted to start with All Stars because it features both Colby, and really it's when Jenna Lewis really, really makes a name for herself. So 2 big people who are going to be on season 50 are in Survivor All Stars. Yeah. So I guess, Tori, you touched on this a little bit already, but what's your personal history with Survivor All Stars?
So I saw All Stars for the first time, like I said, when I was, I guess, like a young adult. And I've seen it now. This might have been my 3rd time watching it, because I've said this to all the people on the podcast, but like, most people watch new shows and like, get into other things. I just rewatch seasons of Survivor. So I've seen this a few times now. And like I said, I kind of like view it a little bit differently every time, which is one of the reasons why I like rewatching seasons.
Yes, that's great. Like I said earlier, I think I saw this for the first time when I was like 13 or 14. And I'm 33 now for reference. So it was probably like 2006-ish when I got into the show, like around like, end of Guatemala, beginning of Panama. So All Stars was fairly fresh in the collective subconscious when I first saw it. I got the DVD box set and watched all the special features. And do you have the DVD box set? Have you seen that?
Oh yeah, no, I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Same age, so
yeah, for sure. Like I have like core memories in my early Survivor fandom of listening to like Tina and Rudy and Jenna Maraska and Rob Sesternino do the DVD commentary for the first 4 episodes. Like lots of fun stuff associated with this season. Yeah, and we love returning seasons and everything. And so for the first like several years of my fandom of the show, this was the only returnee season, and so it loomed large, especially going into Micronesia and going into Heroes versus Villains. The season like loomed really large for me personally. So even though I haven't watched this in probably 15 years, I do go way back with this season.
Definitely. And like with this season, we saw a lot of the All-Stars return later as well. So they are players and characters that we grew to love and that had like kind of a story arc. So like Colby, Jerry, obviously Boston Rob, like all of these people kind of became just really, really big Survivor names. Only, like, maybe not only, but part of the big reason why that happened was because they returned for All Stars in the first place.
Yeah, for real. I mean, and that's why the fandom's been clamoring for returnee seasons for so long for the last few years, because they want these new people to get the opportunity to establish themselves as legends. Yeah, so I guess first, I mean, I want to talk a little bit about the context for this season. Like, so this airs spring of 2004. It debuts like after the Super Bowl. And so even though I was not watching Survivor at the time in 2004, I definitely was watching lots of NFL football on CBS and seeing all the ads for it. And I remember the ads like, oh yeah, Survivor All-Stars after the Super Bowl. I'm like, oh, it was always an interesting concept to me. I wish I had taken the plunge right away when I was younger, but this was, Survivor was still huge at the time. I mean, this is back when the post Super Bowl time slot was like really, really coveted. I feel like live TV isn't as much of a thing these days minus sports, but it was really coveted. All of the people who went on the show became household names for a while. A lot of them saw it as like an opportunity to like springboard into like being famous. Yeah, I mean, seasons 1 and 2 were like wildly popular. I think the finale of Borneo is like still one of the most watched TV programs that's not like sports or like an award show or something like that, like ever. And then season 2 was like up against like Friends in its peak, and it was like got more viewers than Friends. And so this was
insane to think about. I mean, just the way that the show has evolved. And like you were saying that, some of these early seasons are like core memories for you, or like watching the DVD box sets. For me, that season finale of Borneo is a core memory for me.
I love that.
I mean, my family was so into Survivor when it first came on. We even had like a table vote. This is actually a funny story, kind of like. So it got down to like final 4 or 5 or something. And we're like, let's have our own vote on like who we want out of the game. I thought we were playing our own game of Survivor, like in our family. So, like they were reading the votes and it was all like Sue, Rudy, like whoever else. And like I voted my brother out.
That is incredible.
When I started to hear the votes, I was like, oh shoot, I did it wrong. So,
that's
definitely a core memory for me.
That sounds like an early indicator that you were cut out to be someone who's super, super into Survivor, and you're like podcasting about all these years.
Cutthroat. I've been cutthroat whenever Survivor came on.
I love it. Oh, wait, how old were you when the finale of season 1 was?
Oh gosh, I had to have been like 10 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're roughly the same
9
age.
or 10. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's I was not watching at the time, but I would have been 8 years old when that.
Yeah, I think we're right around the same age.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. Yeah. So this is the first time we're seeing like Richard Hatch and Sue Hawk and Tina and Colby and Ethan for the first time coming back. And I feel like, again, I wasn't there for it, but obviously have become well familiar with the lore of like what the vibes were at the time. It seemed like highly anticipated season. And first time we ever do 3 tribes, first time we ever do a cast of more than 16 people, and obviously first time we ever have returning players come back. So a really big deal, really big deal. And most of this cast is people that did really well in their original seasons. So we have like 4 winners. We have Colby, who's a runner-up. I think we have 4 people who finished in 3rd place, like Rudy, Lex, Kathy, Rob C. Yeah. So like half the cast was like, final 3. And then, we had only a few people like got off around the halfway point or earlier. Sheehan and Boston Rob had just missed the jury, but everybody else made the jury. A couple people were early jury, but almost everybody made it like deep into the game. So this was probably seen as like this big like Clash of the Titans kind of environment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's interesting to think about those players that didn't make it as deep into the game, like weren't winners, weren't runner up, like, your Boston Rob and your Sheehan. Even Jenna Lewis was kind of, I forget what place she came in. Maybe like
8th.
Okay, I was going to say 6th, but either